Good afternoon, folks. Welcome to B-Sides Las Vegas Proving Ground. This talk title is Community Defense in Depth, Teaching Digital Security and Privacy Practices for the Public Good, and it will be given by Melanie Gonzalez. Before we begin, just a quick announcement. We'd like to thank our sponsors, especially our diamond sponsors, Adobe and Aikido, and our gold sponsors, Formal and Dropzone AI. It's their support along with other sponsors, donors, and volunteers that make this event possible. And then just one quick reminder, this is being recorded, so for the benefit of those watching later and those in the room, please remember to put your cell phones on silent. With that, I'll pass it over to Melanie.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Can you hear that? Okay, hi. Okay, hi, everybody. Welcome to my talk, Community Defense in Depth, Teaching Digital Security and Privacy Practices for the Public Good. And my name is Melanie Gonzalez. And I'm super excited to be here to speak to y'all at B-Sides Las Vegas. And a little bit about me, for the past 8 years, I've been a journalist. And for the past 3 years, I've been learning cybersecurity as well as teaching digital safety and security practices to the wider public.
A little bit louder. Want the mic a little closer?
Oh, well, because with the, okay, okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'll move on. So I want to tell you guys a story originally reported by 404 Media. It's about a woman in Texas who went out of state to get an abortion. And her family, concerned for her safety, decided to contact their local sheriff's department for a wellness check. The sheriff's department located the woman, no arrests were made, it was just a simple wellness check, but it did bring into question who has access to our data, especially since they found the woman using this device by Flock Security. It's an automatic license plate reader. Not only does it read the license plate number, the car, and the make and model of the vehicle, but also where you can commonly see the vehicle. And this data is available nationwide. It covers, Flock Security's device covers 49 states. And so in 2022, the US Supreme Court overturned Roe versus Wade. And it seemed like in countries where I had covered abortion and reproductive justice, such as Argentina, it seemed like they were moving forwards, while here in the United States, we're moving backwards. And during this time, the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, said that California would be a sanctuary state for abortion. But through my reporting, I found that this wasn't true, because at least 40% of counties within California lack access to an abortion provider. And that has significant impacts on people living in rural areas. And so as I began learning cybersecurity, I learned more about how everybody wants our data. Data brokers, law enforcement, people trying to hurt the more marginalized of us in society. And so I wondered, how can the community benefit from threat modeling? And so that's what I will talk about to you today. So threat modeling is harm reduction. Not every tool is 100% secure, but we can make it harder for the people who want our data. By securing our devices, we also secure the people we connect with using those devices. And Black and brown communities are disproportionately affected by surveillance and policing. And OWASP defines threat modeling as the process of improving security by identifying threats and countermeasures to mitigate them. And we can identify targets from the attacker's point of view. I use Stride, but there's other threat models out there, such as PASTA and OWASP. I recommend everybody do their research and see what works for you. Stride is what works for me. And I do also want to say that a person's race, age, economic factors, and disability also affect their threat model. So I will introduce two personas based on real life situations and people that I've threat modeled. So here we have Kat, the journalist. Kat is 28 years old, a Latina, lives in the United States, but travels internationally for work. She's a runner, guitar player, and chess player. And the situation that we're threat modeling for her is she's returning to the US after a reporting trip abroad, and we need to protect her data as she deals with customs officials. She has beginner tech and digital safety experience. And her with regards to digital safety, the best advice her newsroom could give her was don't read the comments, because newsrooms usually do not have the funds to pay for this type of training, and freelancers have even less resources. And Kat works mostly in English, but does on-the-ground reporting in Spanish and Portuguese. And the assets we're trying to protect are her laptop, her phone, and camera. And nowadays, journalists don't work across platforms. It's not just one doing the writing and one doing the shooting. It's being able to be a jack of all trades, kind of. And in Kat's situation, it's important that the U.S. border it's not just the border between U.S. and Canada or U.S. and Mexico. It extends everywhere, wherever the United States ends. So that also includes the coastlines. And within the 100-mile border zone, customs and border officials do have the authority to stop and question people without a warrant, but the Fourth Amendment still applies, which is your right to refuse the search of your device. And San Francisco, Los Angeles, New York, Miami, some of our favorite major cities are all within this 100-mile border zone. So let's get into stride for Kat. Somebody who disapproves of her reporting, or such as a nation-state actor, could get access to her login. Because of Kat's work, she is bringing in with an investigation. She is bringing these facts and issues to light, and that can anger some people, because in a way she's pointing the finger at somebody, right, by writing and covering about this stuff. So they may want to access her documents and social media that she may use to make that initial contact with sources. And the mitigation, I like to call this the eat your green beans of cybersecurity, because a lot of people do not want to hear about strong unique passwords, but Kat should make sure for every tool or app she uses while reporting has its own unique password. Tampering. So getting back to the threat actors that do not want these issues to come to light or made public, they may want to delete her interviews, delete any data she's collected, delete any public documents, public records requests that she's filed. And once that happens, this could derail Kat's credibility. For example, her editor or her supervising producer may decide to pull the story because there's not enough facts. And so what Kat can do is upload files to a secure data storage before travel, such as CryptPad. With CryptPad, a person doesn't need to upload any personal information to be able to upload documents to CryptPad. Proton Drive is also an option, but CryptPad is end-to-end encrypted. And of course, Kat should always create backups of her interviews and notes, and power off her devices before approaching customs officials while at an airport or other border crossing. Repudiation, I am going to cover repudiation in the next persona that we're going to cover, so I'm going to skip that for now. So, information disclosure. Once you approach customs to do the whole thing you need to do at the border, they may decide to look through your device, take a quick scroll through your screen and see what you have, what they can just view on screen. Or they can plug it into a device that extracts all the data on your device. So that includes photos, messages, any other documents. And once that's in their possession, they can hold on to it forever. They can also share that data with other agencies, as well as if they want to look through that data again, because it's already in their possession, they do not need a warrant. And so for the mitigation, CAT could decide if some data needs to be created. I always like to say the easiest data to protect is the data you don't create. But that may be difficult in CAT's situation since she is a reporter, so she could opt to use, again we talked about CryptPad, but also message with her sources using Signal or meet in person. And when it comes to dealing with border officials, if CAT is a citizen, a US citizen, she can assert the right to not have the device searched without a warrant. Though at border crossings, CBP has been known to detain people for a couple of hours. And if she is not a citizen, it is possible that she gets deported back to her home country. Some more mitigations is to switch to privacy-focused browsers such as Brave and DuckDuckGo or Tor for highly sensitive browsing. And this is another tool. It's by a tech journalist called Yael Grauer. It's called Big Ass Data Broker Opt-out List, and it's really interesting because it puts your data back into your hands, especially if a service like Delete Me isn't available to you because of economic factors, but it's a cool tool. So denial of service. So when it comes to CAT, again, she's bringing these issues to light, practicing her First Amendment right to report. There are people that are going to do what they can to try to silence her and not allow her to let these issues come to light. And especially women reporters are especially targeted by harassment and threats. And in cases of physical violence against a journalist, they often started out as the online harassment and the threats and doxing. And so what CAT can do is save and document the threats in the event that she decides to file a police report. And what also happens is that these threat actors will also go after friends and family. So CAT should also let the people closest to her know what's going on so that they can also take care of themselves. So elevation of privilege. Once the threat actor has CAT's information, they're able to log in. They potentially can do a lot of damage. If they have access to her messages, they can find the contact info of a source that CAT is interviewing and speaking with, who needs to remain anonymous. So they could potentially dox that source, and that could put them in danger. They can also learn more about the movements of CAT's colleagues, of other reporters that she works with, be it in her newsroom or people she's in contact with. And so CAT can practice the principle of least privilege. Not everyone needs the same amount of information, and not every tool or app she uses in her reporting needs to contain the same data. And so with CAT, we see more travel-focused advice, but even if you are a reporter, you can kind of take what you can from this threat model if you're traveling. With the next person, we're going to see a little bit more on the ground. So here's Ricardo. He's 20. He's an LGBTQ+ activist, but not out to his job. And he lives in the United States in the dorms. He's an anime lover and a late night food truck foodie. And the situation that we are threat modeling for him today is he needs to secure his data while distributing mutual aid at a protest, so snacks, water, first aid kits, but we also need to let him know that these security practices are things he should incorporate into his everyday. not just an event like a protest. And his tech usage, he's social media savvy, but less informed on his operational security. And he needs to have a public profile so that people can know where to donate or where they can go to receive his aid. And one thing about his safety practices is he's a huge selfie taker. He's pretty careless about his privacy, and he usually posts pictures with the location highly visible to the audience. And the assets that we're protecting for him today are his Venmo and banking information, as well as his cell phone. So spoofing. When it comes to spoofing, when it comes to dealing with law enforcement on the ground, they can compel a person to unlock their phone if they have facial recognition enabled on that device. And Ricardo is also susceptible to social engineering attacks such as phishing, with which a threat actor may want to use to gain access to his money. So for mitigations, when dealing with law enforcement on the street, it's important to enable the passcode because it has a higher standard, a higher expectation of privacy. Law enforcement cannot compel a person to unlock their phone because they have a passcode on it, but they can with biometrics. And of course, the strong passwords. For tampering, a threat actor may take control of Ricardo's social media, or they may decide to delete his posts that contain the information for people on where they can donate or where they can go to see where he's distributing, so they can, get some of his, get some food and water and what have you. And they may want to do that because they disagree with what Ricardo's supporting. And they may also decide to steal money from his Venmo transactions. And so what Ricardo can do is take sensitive information from the direct messages to an encrypted chat like Signal, as well as keep Venmo transactions private. So repudiation, how does Ricardo verify people to make sure that they are who they say they are? So not only is this important for vetting when people who may want to collaborate with him on a project and do some more activism, but also when dealing with banking and money issues, because who hasn't received scam calls from a bank, right? Or pretending to be the IRS. So you can verify the person behind the account, ask for a reference number, and then call back with that reference number. Just be like, hey, I need a reference number, and call the bank back with the reference number to verify if that was actually them calling. And also remember, the IRS and your bank are not going to the IRS and the bank are not going to ask for your personal information, such as Social Security. And when it comes to vetting people in real life, you can ask, do we have friends in common who can vouch for you? And when it comes to social media, there are profiles that pop up in times of crisis or major current events such as elections to spread misinformation and fear. So it's important to watch out for recently created profiles and profiles that don't have a lot of friends or followers, and if they're always posting especially inflammatory content. So, information disclosure. Threat actors can get a lot of information through social media, through photos, details such as menus, reflections. People can zoom in on eyeglass lenses and figure out a person's location that way through those details, as well as metadata. So when it comes to street level surveillance, this device right here, it's a camera that takes a 360 view of what's around it, and it reaches 25 feet tall. And it's often seen in downtown areas as well as warehouses and construction sites. And another thing to look out for are cell site simulators, which intercept, which trick us. A mobile device that tricks your cell phone into thinking it's an actual cell tower, and that's how law enforcement can get data that way. And here's the MQ-9 Reaper Predator B. It's a reconnaissance aircraft. It's responsible for airstrikes on Afghanistan and Yemen, but most recently seen surveilling the crowd at the 2025 protests in downtown Los Angeles against the ICE raids. Was surveilling the crowd. It takes pretty detailed shots of what's happening on the ground, and it was also seen at the 2020 George Floyd protests in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And so mitigations: turn off location on your device, but also if Ricardo's going to a protest, it's better he just leave his phone at home. Be aware of surroundings, be aware of what's in the pictures that you're taking. Sometimes do people really need to see your vacation photos, or can you wait till after you come back home to post them and share them on social media? And Ricardo can also switch to privacy-focused browsers such as DuckDuckGo, Brave, and Electronic Frontier Foundation also has a privacy badger, which is an ad blocker, and Tor for highly sensitive browsing. And for denial of service, people who are against the cause that Ricardo is fighting for will also want to take him offline and prevent him from doing his work through harassment and doxing. And in this situation, community is key. Ricardo could appoint a friend to manage the fundraising and the Venmo page while he takes a break from doing that, so people can still get the services and the mutual aid that they need to. And he can also appoint another friend who can manage his social media by blocking and reporting the harassment. And Ricardo may want to consider going private for a while and take a break. And elevation of privilege. Again, the attacker may access his banking info after logging into Venmo. And the mitigation for that is strong, unique passwords for banking apps and multi-factor authentication. So with Ricardo, we see more on the ground. Our previous persona, Kat, could decide to use some of this when she's on the ground reporting. So now what? What's one thing you can do today to improve your privacy and security? And if you already know how to threat model, maybe you could help out a friend or a neighbor with their own threat modeling. Think about who could benefit from threat modeling in your own community. And with that, big thanks to B-Sides Las Vegas, and especially huge thanks to Lidia Giuliano for coaching me for my first B-Sides talk. So, questions, comments? Okay. Oh, yes.
So you mentioned Stride, this program shows that there was an extension to it, almost developed simultaneously by two different research teams called Stripe, which as key for privacy, there were some unique threats that existed in the privacy realm that didn't exist in the smoothly connected and so forth. Have you considered looking into that, or are you aware of it?
Honestly, that's the first time I'm hearing, so thank you for bringing. So, yeah, go ahead. Okay, so he mentioned that there is a new addition to Stride called Striped, and he was asking if I had considered that or heard of that, and that's the first time I'm hearing about it. So thank you. Now I have something new to research. All right, cool. Thank you.